Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to this tutorial series on Cloud Firestore. Now today we are going to finally add some code so we can add some data to our database. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay. Let's take a look at what I have just added here because we will cover quite a lot today, and I have just added some document data with some examples of what type of data you can add to Cloud Firestore, a button tapped function that we will add in later, and let's see here a Firestore a reference manager, just the struct here, and the Firebase keys with some collection path keys, so we are not going to have that typos at all. So first of all, I'm going to add in here a new button, and we will constrain it with tiny constraints, and then we will just jump right into the coding, how to create or overwrite a single document with the set method and so on. And finally, we are going to have a hands-on example. We are going to save a new user to our document. So let's jump right into it. And first of all, what I want to do is basically add tiny constraints to our project. So I will go into pod, to the pod file, and type in pod and tiny constraints. Okay, and let me just go to our root folder here, and I believe it's right under YouTube, videos, 13, code, and Swiftifier. There we go. And now let's open up terminal and type in cd and a space. Let's drag and drop the root folder of our project there, hit return, and type in pod install and hit return. And it will install tiny constraints 4.0.0. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, we can now safely close this Swiftifier Xcode project and yeah, maybe open it up again. You shouldn't have done that. Okay, so now that we have tiny constraints in there, we can now go to root view controller and import tiny constraints. There we go. So next up, we are going to create a custom button, and for that I'm going to use one of my tutorials. I won't go through with it, of course, but you can go ahead and take a look at a custom reusable UI button in Swift, step by step. And for that, I'm just going to simply go to my GitHub repository for this project, and I'm going to copy and paste this purple button, but I'm just going to create a new button, like, or maybe let's just call it purple button. Why not? It's a good name. So let's create a new file here, and it will be a Swift file, and let's name it purple button. Why not? Okay, and then let's go back to our browser and just simply select all of this code, and I will just skim through it because it's really simple to understand. We are creating a class of a UI button. This is the required initializer with the frame and the required initializer for the storyboards. Well, we don't use storyboards, but this is required by Apple. And after we super init with the frame 0, we set the background color to the purple, set the title that we will add on in just a moment, set the title color to be white, that is okay, title label, corner radius, and so we can see that corner radius, we set the layers mask bound to true. So pretty basic stuff here. And now let's go back to our root view controller and let's create our button here. And I will just create a simple lazy var, and I will call this button because we are going to have only this button, and it will be of type purple button, but we need to hit Command B so we can have this auto-filled by Xcode. So purple button, there we go, purple button equals and let button equals again purple button, and let's add in here our title, and basically for now let's add in here, let's say add or something like that. It doesn't really matter. We are adding now, we will be updating in the next video, but yeah, this is quite okay for now. Let's return our button, and I have created this with a lazy variable because maybe we want to change here something. I just could have just plain old added this constant button here with simply initializing our purple button. Okay, now let's go into the view did load, and because this is the only view or button we are going to add in here, I'm not just going to go through with setup views and setup constraints and add subviews. We are just going to add it right here. So let's see, what do we have here? First of all, maybe I want to have a background color. So view.background color equals .white. There we go. And then we can add a subview to this view. Let that be a button. Okay, and now we can anchor our button, and I would just simply edge to the view, so edge is 2, and the constrainable is our view, excluding the bottom edge. And yeah, let's add in some edge insets, so UI edge insets, and let's see here, for the top, let's say 16 or maybe 32, left 16, bottom 0, right 16, and everything else can be deleted. Finally, we have to have a button height, so height is, let's say, 50. I believe that should be okay. So let's build and run and see if everything went okay. We do have our button, and yeah, build has succeeded. That is always a good sign. And yeah, we can have this button tab added. And what a great idea that I did create this lazy bar, because we are going to add this target button tab to this button here. So let's wait for that. And as I can see, the button is straight up there. So let's see, what else can we do here? Edges to, maybe this should be edges to super view. Edges to super view, excluding bottom, insets, UI, edge insets, top 32, left 16, bottom 0, right 16, and using safe area guide, that is correct. And there we go. Let's build and run again, and hopefully now this should be okay. There we go. We have an add button, and that is more than enough for our case. Now what we want to add in here is a print statement, so 1 to 3. And let's add this button a target, so button add target. The target will be self, action will be hash selector, not free, hash selector, and the Objective-C method will be, of course, button tabbed. There we go. And for the event, we are going to choose touch up inside. Touch up inside. Okay, now let's build and run again, and we should see our print statement here, and we are ready with our UI setup. Okay, there we go. As you can see here, we have 1 to 3, 1 to 3. Great. So let's delete this, and let's create a new document by setting on the database. Now, for that, we first of all need to have a reference of the database. And if you recall, and I will just go there under the documentation, under the get started, we had something here that basically told us to create a reference to the database, like let db equals firestore.firestore. Now we are going to make this a little bit more interesting. So let's go back to our Xcode project and go to the Firestore reference manager. So here we are going to create our database, and I will have this as a static function let constant, and let this be our database. That is okay. And firestore. So now that we can get a hold of our database, now we can get a reference to our Firestore project. And what I want to add in here even more is create a new static constant here, and I will name this root. Why am I having this? Let me just explain. Let's go back to our database, and if you recall, in the previous video I've talked about creating a development environment and a production environment, and as you can see here we have our users under development. So we will create this in code right now, because we are going to set our database. There we go, database, and we are going to call a collection, and here comes in the environment factor. I will not talk about how to set up environments for Xcode. We will talk about this in a separate playlist once we finish all of this. For now, let's just create here a constant, like something, or rather let's just add this here under the manager, because yeah, I believe that is the single way we need to have this. And environment equals, and this will be a string, and I will set this to development, of course. So let's add in here this environment for the collection, and now we need to add a document with the document path, again with the environment. Let's just copy this because it's much more simple. So that is our root. So how do we access this root? Well, it's pretty simple, because this is a struct. So let's go back to our root view controller, and let's go here and just type in Firebase. I believe it's Firestore, and maybe manager, reference manager. There we go. So Firestore reference manager. That's it. Now you can have this database root, and I will call root, of course. And if you add in here a root, you can see that we have some functions, of course, from Firebase's SDK. And if you go here and type in set data, we can set any type of data. Now, I won't set all of this on the main root. So I just want to have here like a collection. Let's see here, cities. And the document should be, let's say, LA. Okay, and now I will just set some document data. So I will just use this one with the completion handler. So set data with a document data with a completion handler. And let's add in here some data. And it is an array, a dictionary of string to any. And now let me just take a peek what the documentation has in here, and I will just copy this all out, because I don't want to waste time typing all of that in. So there we go. We have our name, Los Angeles, and because this is dot notation, we can simply add these new lines there. Okay, and let's have this edited real quickly. Okay, and now we can have our completion handler here, and let's just hit return there, and as you can see we can return an error here. And what we want to do in this Let me just add in here if let error equals error, and we're just simply going to print out this error's localized description. Oh, there we go. Otherwise, if we don't have an error, we just simply print out, let's see, what should it print out successfully. And yeah, that should be it. That how it is. So see cities here. Sorry for the typos. Okay, let's see. Let's build and run and see how all of this plays out. And let's click on add data. And as you can see in the log, it says successfully set data. So let's double check in the console and let's just refresh our browser. And we should see under development, we have our cities. There we go. Cities, LA, and country USA, name Los Angeles, state California. Awesome. So that is one way to have this set, but if you want to set, or maybe you don't really know if this LA document already exists, then you should use the merge field. So I'll show you how to do that. So if the document does not exist, this set will create it. If the document does exist, its content will be overwritten with the newly provided data, unless you specify that the data should be merged into the existing document. So as follows comes here, and I will create a new data. So let's see, city data, and it will be again dictionary, and I want to change, let's say, the name of this city. And it's kind of a stupid example, but Los Angeles new. Okay, we want to set this to Los Angeles new. Okay, and if we use set data, we will override all of this. So let's just do one more time and you will see what I mean. And let's see here, city data, and add that in there. There we go. Successfully set new data. Okay, so let's build and run, and now we should have two outputs: successfully set data and successfully set new data. But as you can see, as you will see, let's just tap on that, and there we go, set the data, set new data. But now we only have the Los Angeles new name, so that is actually what we don't want to have here. So let's fix that. So let's open up our Xcode and do the necessary changes. Okay, first of all, we could leave, and we will leave this so we can set the data. So this will be a clean set. And after that, we just want to change only the city data. So maybe this was set somewhere else along the way, and we kind of don't really know if this is set or not. And if we don't really know, then we need to use another set data function here. And let me just delete that and just start typing in. And here you can see that we have one that is called merge, and we will use merge with the completion handler, so we can get if there is any error, and we can clearly print out that we have successfully set that. So set the data with merge, and it will be our city data, and we need to set the merge to true, and this way it will not delete all of the existing fields, it will just update the one that we are basically setting there with the set data, and the completion handler with our error. And I just copy and paste all of this now because it's much more easier. And the successfully set new data is what we want to have here. So let's build and run again, and now we should see that not only did we change the Los Angeles to Los Angeles new, we are not going to delete any other data. So there we go. After the tab, we have these two logs. Okay, let's see what we have here. Great, it all looks awesome. Okay, what is up next? Let me just go back. Now, when you set to create a document, you must specify an ID for the document to create. Now, this ID in our case is this LA, but sometimes it doesn't really make sense. You want to have an auto-generated ID from Firestore. So this is how you can do that. So let's add, and again with the root of our development, so Firestore reference manager dot root and collection, and we will use again the cities collection. Okay, and we just simply have to add this add document, and I will use again with the completion handler. So add a document, and the data, let's see, let new city data, or maybe let's add that in here, new city data. Okay, and let's just copy and paste all of the values from our documentation here, because it's much more simpler to do so. So there we go. Okay, and for the data I will just type in, or rather yet copy and paste in the new city data, and for the error handling we are just going to have this error here, and if let unwrap the error if it exists, and successfully set new city data. Okay, now let's build and run and see how all of this looks like. Okay, there we go, build has succeeded, and now let's tap on that, and here we go, set data, set new data, set new city data. So let's take a look at the database now. And as you can see, now we have a new document with an auto-generated ID, which is awesome. And then let's click on that, and as you can see, country Japan, name is Tokyo. Awesome. Now, sometimes you don't want this to be set automatically, you just want to reference it, and for that you can simply just restructure the code a little bit. So let's go back. So in some cases it can be useful to create a document reference with an auto-generated ID, then use the reference later. So we will use that in the hands-on example. So what we want to do here is go and type in Firestore reference manager dot root, and again collection cities, that is okay, cities. And now we just want to type in here document, and that's it. And to get that ID, we can simply just create a new constant here, like document ID equals, and I will have this as a reference. So let reference, or ref for short, and ref, and this has a document ID. Okay, pretty simple. Now we can save, or maybe use this later on for whatever reason. We can save this reference document, let's say, into that dictionary. So let's go in here and let's create newest city data, and I will have this name to, let's see, Germany, and oh sorry, not the name, let's say Berlin, and let's have this Germany. And now I want to add an extra value here with a UID, and that UID will be the document ID. So document ID, and that is quite useful when you want to query. And as you can see, we need to have here a comma, and we can now safely add this newest city data. Okay, And how do we actually do that? Well, it is pretty simple. We can have this reference, okay, reference and set data, and we will choose the merge one. Maybe let's choose the merge one. It doesn't really matter for this situation. So newest city data, it all depends on your database. Okay, and here we have our completion handler. Let's add in here our error, and again copy and paste this error handling. Okay, successfully set newest city data. So let's see what happens now. Okay, so let's build and run. Maybe make this a little larger. Let's click on add here, and there we go. We have set the data, new city data, and newest city data. That is awesome. And now if we go, there we go, we have LA with the Los Angeles new. There we have our Tokyo, Japan. Again, it has created a new Tokyo, Japan. It's this one because it's adding with a brand new UID. And finally, we have created a new one with the generated UID as the value for the key UID. And basically that is it for adding data. It's kind of getting this video is getting quite long, so I will leave the next one, a hands-on example, save a new user, because this is quite tricky to do. We are going to save the new user in the next episode. Now I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to get notified of the newest video when I will save a new user to our database. And as usual, I will see you in the next one.